All right, so welcome back to the East Kentucky Tournament Trail podcast number 2. You know, one of the things that we're passionate about is trying to maybe get young people into fishing and, you know, talk about those opportunities that exist. So tonight, our episode is completely comprised of college fishing. We're going to talk with probably as good a panel as we could assemble, a bunch of guys that know a lot about college fishing, several that are in the coaching capacity now. So this is going to be a great episode, guys. Please, you know, be sure to hit that like and share, you know, to get this out there. And you know, we're going to have a great conversation tonight. So what we want to do first is just kind of bounce around the room, and we're going to talk. We've got a special young guy with us tonight who makes some tackle, Bo, but we're going to get to you last, Bo. So we're going to start with you, Hunter. If just tell us, you know, where somebody can find you on social media, what you got going on for 2022 and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jason. We're excited to be on for tonight. So I coach the bass fishing team here at Carson-Newman University. It's my 4th full year of doing so. You can find our team on Facebook or Instagram at CN Anglers, and then myself at Hunter Sales Fishing. Got a lot going on. You know, it's a busy year in the college fishing world, busy year. And in my own career, I'm trying to fish still, and I'm actually fishing all 9 Bassmaster Opens this year, in addition to going to all the college stuff and making sure the team's still progressing and things like that. Also in the process right now of trying to get a kayak fishing team here at Carson-Newman off the ground. I know it's something Dalton's passionate about too. So just all kinds of stuff moving and shaking. College fishing's growing, blowing up, and we're excited to be on and not talking about it.
So you made the transition easy. Dalton, you know, I've heard about the kayak bass fishing. You know, I've followed you on social media for a few years now. Seems like you spend as much time on the water as anybody I know. I'm not going to lie. So if you could just give us a quick, you know, rundown where people can find you on social media, what you got going on for 2022.
Yeah. So I just graduated from Campbellsville 2 semesters ago now. And I was blessed right out of college. Started coaching, head coaching the kayak bass, got that started. And we had a great fall, kind of a kickoff with Carson-Newman at Dale Hollow. We did a little Battle of the Hollow. You can find us on, you know, any social media outlet. We're still kind of teaming up with the kind of bouncing off the bass fishing team's social media stuff right now before, you know, until we get up off the ground really good. And personally, man, I started guiding a little bit out on Dale and in some places around the house, doing electronics trips and everything. And I plan to still take my fishing career somewhere, hopefully. And I want to fish the BFLs next year. So you can find me at D Smith Fishing on Instagram, and you can email me at drsmith@campbellsville.edu if you have any kayak bass fishing needs, or if you want to know how to get a part of our program. So.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, based on the content that I see on social media, if I'm going to Dale Hollow, I'm calling you. I mean, I'm saying, like, the stuff that I see, man, you're on them.
We live in, like, our little area right here. I live 2 minutes from Green. I stayed down here after I graduated, and I can get on Dale in like 45, 50 minutes, you know, sometimes. And I really try to put as much time as I can out there. It's a really cool lake. Deep, clear. It's got some grass and it's got big browns and big largemouth. So it's kind of like it's the best of both worlds there, man.
Awesome. Well, Austin, you know, we've actually met each other before. We both beat our heads against the wall out there at Paintsville Lake.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Sometimes we'll get a bite. Sometimes, a lot of times we don't get a bite, but we go out there anyway and get our boats wet, right?
Yeah, that's the best thing. Just get it wet. That way we can go home and just wipe it off, get the mud line off.
So if you could, man, just introduce yourself. I know, you know, you kind of took college fishing, went a different route. So, you know, just tell us about what you got going on in your life and where people can find you on social media.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and plug the UK bass team since I'm old and retired and washed up. So at U of K Bass Fishing on Facebook and Instagram, that's the 2 social media outlets they have. They also have like a merchandise website. I think the same thing, ufkbassfishing.com. But yeah, like Jason said, I'm Austin Elswick. I graduated from the University of Kentucky back in 2020, fished on the team from 2016 to 2020, and I had a little different approach than what some of these boys might say they had. Logan's might be kind of similar, but a little bit more advanced than mine. I knew I wanted to be going into medical school, and that's what I'm doing right now. So fishing's kind of on the back burner. when I'm just trying to learn and pursue this field. But I got up with the team, and they kind of took me in under the rein. I didn't know much about fishing. I didn't start tournament fishing until like my senior year of high school because, here in Eastern Kentucky, it's not something that's big promoted because our Highland reservoirs are super small and super tough and just not that fun sometimes, as you know. So I kind of just got in tight with the team, and then I found myself in a vice president position, and then I was actually elected president captain the last 2 years, and we kind of got it off the ground. I got a coach elected in, one of Dalton's former coaches, and Coach Tommy Hall. But that's kind of how my UK experience went, and I'll just let it go ahead and get to Logan now.
Logan, so, I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen, Hank Cherry won the Bassmaster Classic, and I couldn't wait to get to you because what you guys did is comparable. Number one, the money's more. And just to be sitting at the point, that you guys are sitting at in the bass fishing world just has to be an incredible moment for you guys. Just give me a quick introduction, maybe where people could find you on social media and what you got going on this year.
Yeah, man. My name is Logan Parks. I fished for the Auburn University bass team the past 4 years. I recently graduated from Auburn University this past December. But I'll be fishing my 5th year of eligibility for Auburn in the spring, as well as all 9 of the Bassmaster Opens. I'd like to make it to the Bassmaster Elite Series. I know that's what Hunter's doing too, and hopefully both of us can get there one day. But I was the president of the Auburn University bass team during the past season, and this year I'm the tournament director. And you can follow us on Instagram at Auburn University Bass Team, or my personal page at Logan Parks Fishing.
We were talking about social media and the value and all that, and we'll get to more of this a little bit later. But I feel like you guys got a ton of value out of the Bass Pro, the Open. I feel like social media wise, I've seen your stuff as much as Hank Cherry. It's crazy to compare those two because, like, I'm older than you guys, but I remember growing up, like, the Bassmaster Classic had so much attached to it. If you won the Classic, you were set. You had the sponsors, the endorsements, all the things that you needed to succeed in the fishing world. But I'll be honest with you, man, I would compare what you guys did to the Classic in that way. I mean, how do you feel about that comparison?
I feel like the social media exposure and stuff, we probably got maybe like a little bit less, but I would say like a comparable amount, which has been pretty cool to see. But as far as like the tournament, the meaning of the tournament, and like,
oh yeah,
what that does for somebody's career, I wouldn't say they're that comparable.
Right. Right.
The Classic, you win the Classic and you're one of less than 100 guys to ever do it, and then you got your name pretty much stapled in the history books for bass fishing, which, no one's ever had a tournament like this before, so it's pretty cool to be the winners of that for the first time. But I think the Classic is the end goal for pretty much everybody.
For sure. Are they rolling that tournament back out this year? I haven't seen anything about it yet. Do you know?
I haven't heard anything yet, so I'm not sure.
So, Bo, we saved you for last. Bo is he makes lures here in Eastern Kentucky. Bo likes to bass fish like the rest of us. He's got the obsession, right, Bo? Can you hear us? Yes. So, Bo, tell us real quick, what kind of stuff do you make?
I make, if you can see, you can make, I'll show you one of these. I make nets.
Okay.
Those toughies. Then those curl. Then my dog is named Rolly. And these is tomato pie, and they are called rolly worms.
Awesome, man. So if somebody wants to buy baits off of you, Bo, how do they get up with you?
Buzz Baits on Facebook.
Okay, Bo's Baits on Facebook.
And this is a spinner blade. You see, I have to make it. You see, I have to put a blade on it. And this, if you want to know, this is white. This is another spinner bait of mine, pink lemonade.
Nice.
Then fire crawl.
Nice. I'm not gonna lie to you, Bo. Hey, Bo, that fire crawl probably caught as many fish on that fire crawl spinner bait as any bait in 2021.
And this is a jig.
Nice.
And this is a underspin.
So you're making all kinds of stuff.
And a football. Shaky head. Wait, this is a net. Shaky head. And this is a net.
Nice. Well, that's awesome, man. So if you want to buy lures off of Bo, you need to go to Bo's Baits on Facebook, right, Bo? Am I saying that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that they could just send you a message?
Yes.
Okay, I lost you there for a second.
And here is another jig.
Won't you tell Jason right quick why you're doing all this and what you're going to do?
Yeah.
I want to be a heavy equipment operator, and I want to be a fisherman, making all kinds of money. Then I'm going to do.
Chris Ferguson just popped up in his seat somewhere, Jason.
Yeah. He wants to be Logan Parks. That's what he wants to be. Catching those big
Then
checks.
I'm gonna be doing Buzz Baits.
I think he just wants the excavator.
Well, Bo, we appreciate you spending a few minutes with us, man. If you want to buy some lures off Bo or ask him, I mean, it sounds like you make a little bit of everything. Look him up, Bo's Baits on Facebook, and send Bo a message, and he'll try to get you out whatever you need. Right, Bo? Did I do that right?
Yep.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the fishing show coming up over at Williamson. Tell us about that guy, Pete Runyon, and a little bit of that real quick.
Pete Runyon, he came up and did a video with me about hooks, about baits, and then the fishing show is, I'll tell you when that is, February 19th.
Okay, and that's at the Williamson Fieldhouse, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And if you want to meet the legend Pete Runyon, that'd be the day to do it, I would say, right?
Yes.
So Pete runs a great Facebook page, Friends of the Tug Fork River. You can like that page.
Did you know today is Pete Runyon's birthday?
Oh, man, I hate to ask how old he is. Do you know?
65.
65. I like old Pete, don't you, Bo?
Yes.
He's a decent referee sometimes.
Huh? I like his money.
There you go. Well, Bo, we appreciate you spending a few minutes this Sunday night with us. We hope you'll tune in. We're going to talk some college fishing, so we'll try to get this episode posted tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have some good insight from these guys in terms of what it takes to be a college fisherman.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
You're welcome.
Okay, so guys, we'll just kind of transition right into this. You know, we were talking about college fishing. That's the topic tonight. And we really wanted to talk about, you know, if there's a young guy sitting out there tonight, let's say he's 15, 16 years old, he's hooked on bass fishing like, you know, all of us became at some point. And, you know, now he's decided that what he wants to do is be a fisherman in college. So, you know, I think that fishing has a ton of value in that way, just in my opinion. especially for those guys that maybe athletics has come to an end and they have that kind of competition void in their life. I feel like fishing has a ton of value in that way. So, if you guys could just kind of speak, we'll start with you, Hunter, because I know you know this inside and out. What can a high school fisherman do if they really want to be a college fisherman? What steps should that 15, 16-year-old be taking right now in their life?
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Thanks for bringing that to me. I know that's a question that I get asked a ton. I try to go talk to high schools about that subject. The biggest thing is just start early. I would say don't procrastinate with it. We look for guys as college coaches, and I'm sure even the successful club programs. I know we got UK and Auburn on here tonight. I'm sure those guys look for the same type of stuff, but we look for people who take it serious as a sport. More so than just a hobby. So, as a high school angler, the toughest thing to convey to a college coach is, your angling ability without a boat captain. And so, that's a hard thing to convey, but you can check out an angler's social media usually and tell, how much time that person is spending on their craft, just fishing. And it doesn't have to be out of an $80,000 bass boat on a lake. If you see a kid who fishes every single day, who's posting pictures a couple times a week in a pond or, in a kayak out behind their house or whatever, that makes me feel good about, somebody that has the work ethic. But be proactive too, ask questions, find a good mentor, find somebody who has done what you want to do and ask all the right questions, and start reaching out to those colleges that you're interested in and find out exactly what they're looking for. That would be, and we could talk about that for an hour, but if I had to just sum it up really quick, it would just be proactive, start now. And if it's what you want to do, be as competitive as you can and work your butt off to make it happen.
So Austin, I totally agree with Hunter. I dabble in tournament fishing and all that myself. I feel like, being on the water is one of the number one things that leads to success as a fisherman. But, speaking from, we're from Eastern Kentucky, going to UK for a lot of us is kind of the end all be all, right? So if a kid in Eastern Kentucky decides he wants to be on the UK bass fishing team, what steps can he take to set himself up to succeed in that way?
Yeah, so basically we're technically a club sport at the university. Any student that's full-time can join. And what you do, you can just reach out to the team, email, social media, or contact the current president, who is Blake Rashears. He's a local guy from Whitesburg over in Letcher County now. So I guess we kind of kept the reins of the team corralled in Eastern Kentucky a little bit longer. But just reaching out to them, we'll have like a first of the year team meeting type deal. And you can get like a rundown at that point of what it kind of entails. So do you think it's for you or not? Because like a lot of people don't really know how competitive college fishing has got because, everybody that is familiar with it, Hunter or Dalton, they're snatching them up before anybody can get up to them into the SEC schools. So when you get out and you can just join the team, we got like a little dues things, but it's not something other where I'm asking you to pay like a fraternity due or something, a crazy amount of money. It's just a small amount that kind of covers some fees to get some merchandise rolling. That way we can cover those costs. And so when we get to make any profit off our sales, it's just straight into the team bank account for profit and not just generated revenue. But that's the best way to do it. Get out, get involved with them. It's super relaxed the way we run it. And I think that's what brings a lot of people to join the team if they're not going on scholarship somewhere else. And you made mention of like that competitive edge and want to keep the competitive thing. I mean, I dabbled with football and baseball a little bit. You probably coached when I was still playing football at Shelby Valley. And after that, I just felt like there was a void in my life. Like, I got to be doing something else. And, I kind of like Bo talked about before we started here, fishing the Tug River, stuff like that. I fished every inch of this creek from upper Long Fork all the way out, going past Texas Roadhouse of the Big Sandy and lower Leviza. So that's how I got into it. And I wanted to continue doing that. I always felt like it was a competition. Could I outsmart the fish?
Yeah.
And that's why I joined it, because I wanted to continue that aspect of my life, because I about can't live without it. And it's drove me crazy. at medical school, because I think I've been on the water maybe 3 times in the past year. Like it's tough. It really is to get out and do stuff. Yeah, it's big time sacrifices, but just being proactive, like Hunter said, social media, stuff like that, and just kind of being outgoing when you talk to people. And that's the best way to get involved on the team, where you can go out and get that competitive experience in college.
So Dalton, talking about Campbellsville University, I see a ton. I'm an old Georgetown guy, so there's a little football rivalry there from way back in the day. But
Yeah.
anyway, how does a person that wants to fish at Campbellsville or wants to fish with you, how do they go about getting in touch with you, and what does the recruiting process entail as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, so kind of like bouncing off with what Austin said earlier. I'm from south of Louisville, just a little ways, and we didn't have a high school bass fishing team. So whenever I got into high school, I was fishing and hunting just all the time. And I kind of got out of sports just because that's where my passion was. I was a super competitive person, and I was always very athletic and played everything I could. And got a team started in my high school my junior year. And honestly, man, it's kind of changed since I got recruited from Campbellsville, I feel like, because we were just blessed our senior year and won our region and got 10th at state, I think. And they reached out to me, but now, I've been I was the president the last 2 years at Campbellsville, and I worked closely with Pete in recruiting a lot of things, and he bounced a lot of stuff and information off of me. And it seems like, being proactive is huge. And I guess that probably consists of building up a resume now. You're seeing a lot more of that. People, when you're recruiting, when somebody hands you something or sends you something over, and you can sit there and look at all their stats, obviously, and then their social media engagement. And like what Hunter said, it's pretty easy to tell in about 10 seconds when you look at someone's social media if this kid or if this angler is serious about it, and if he has a true passion and competitive side for it. We at Campbellsville, I feel like a lot of people reach out to us. I think we're blessed and have built a great program. That's a scholarship program, so we have a lot of people that reach out to us and the recruiting side of it, so that helps a lot. Yeah.
So Logan, I always see Auburn. For us, we're as Northerners, we're always fascinated with Auburn because we can go down there and we can fish more months out of the year versus battling the cold weather that we have in Kentucky. So if somebody wants to fish on the bass team at Auburn, what steps would they need to follow?
So basically, we get a lot of our new members, I guess, that reach out to us on Instagram, and they just send us a message. We actually have a membership chair position on our team that will we'll send out his number, and he can get in touch with any new members or interested members. And I'll go ahead and give that out in case anybody's watching this podcast that's interested in Auburn. His name's Sam, and his number is 865-603-3599. And if you're interested in joining the bass team, just text him, call him, and he will give you all the spill on the whole team and all that. But we have a really good program at Auburn. Happy to say that we're now a scholarship school. I took part of my winnings from the tournament, and I felt led to try and create a scholarship for anglers to come to Auburn and fish, because I know there's not one in the SEC, and I'd really like to see a change where schools, begin to value their programs a little bit more and create scholarships. And I hope that'll grow to maybe like a couple scholarships one day. I know it's not much now, but you actually can come to Auburn, and once you're accepted into Auburn, you'll be able to apply for the scholarship.
Man, I thought that was so awesome what you did there. I shared it. When I saw it on social media, I just thought that was so awesome that you took time to do that. And Auburn, I think, would be a great place. You're right there close to several really good fisheries, so that can't be a bad thing in terms of improving as a fisherman, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably 30 minutes to an hour within 10 different lakes that are all diverse fisheries. I mean, we've got Eufaula, which is more of like your Florida kind of fishing. We've got Lake Martin, which is more of like a highland, deep, clear water reservoir. And then we've got the Coosa River system. The Tennessee River is, 3 hours away from us. But we've got a lot of lakes that you can pretty much go and fish however you want to and learn a lot. I think that's why we have a lot of really talented guys on our team, because of the experience you get from Auburn and from the lakes around us. And I will say, too, that the school is fantastic. We've got a lot of Auburn graduates that are out there in the fishing industry that aren't necessarily fishing professionally. So if you do want to come to school at Auburn and fish and enjoy your time at Auburn, but you're looking for more of just a job in the industry that you love, Ray Scott was an Auburn graduate. Don Logan, the old owner of Bassmaster, is an Auburn graduate. There's a lot of really successful businessmen out there in the fishing industry that are Auburn graduates, and we got a great school and a lot of great programs.
Yeah, we've got to push for F1s in Eastern Kentucky, and I've been in communication with an Auburn graduate, like you said, who's on the fisheries side. He's actually a hatchery manager, and he's just been invaluable in terms of knowledge and excitement for what we could potentially do there. But, one of the things that I was disappointed to hear about college fishing, like you guys were talking about, is sometimes, especially I guess the SEC schools, there aren't a lot of scholarship opportunities. Is that correct, Austin?
Yeah. Other than what Logan has going on, there's really nothing. And I mean, as far as school funding, it seems like most of the time we're getting breathed down our neck of what we're doing wrong, other than what we could be doing right or what they could be doing to assist us and get their name out in this side of sports, aside of just the triad of basketball, football, and baseball. So it's tough, and it puts a lot of expense on us.
Right.
But I do want to comment on something real quick that Logan mentioned. Like, a lot of successful people that's in the fishing industry, even let's say you don't want to become an Elite Series pro, or you don't want to do this for your entire life, just make a job out of fishing. You can get in college fishing, compete, have a great time, make a bunch of friends, and then find yourself potentially in a row with Bassmaster, in a row with Strike King, or something other that brings up that you might not have had the option to find a connection with before. So, I mean, there's unlimited opportunities in that part of the field as well.
That's a great point, man. Great point. Hunter, I'm not sure about Carson Newman, and I'm a little more familiar with Campbellsville, Dalton. Like I said, I'm a Georgetown guy. So for me, as a college football player, Georgetown was $21,000 way back when. I think it's 50 now. It's crazy. But for $21,000, okay, I did my financial aid. A kid may get a Pell Grant. They may do work study, but they put a financial package together. On the football recruiting side, that's my experience. Hunter, is that the way it's done at Carson Newman? And then I'm gonna hit you with that question next, Dalton. Is there a financial package? Like, in Kentucky, you get the Keys money. You may get money based on your ACT, based on your GPA, but then you put all that together, maybe with a student loan, and that's how your college is funded. Is that the way it is at Carson Newman?
Yeah, so I'm actually I'm gonna go a step further, and I'm gonna elaborate on there's some stuff in college fishing that is probably a little bit what I would call almost shady. And so I want to kind of bring that to light for anybody who may be in high school that is looking through this process. So, scholarships do exist in college fishing, and it is real money that is going to help you lower the cost of your attendance. But at all the schools that offer scholarships, mainly the private schools that do a lot, or the smaller schools in general, that is not anywhere close to a full scholarship. And so even when you see these $100,000, $90,000, $80,000 checks these guys are holding up, if you take that check, a lot of times that is the only financial aid money you get. And so you really don't come out any further ahead than you would. So we don't do any of that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because it is great promotion and it does help grow the sport. The way we do our financial aid is our fishing scholarship it's not huge, full disclosure, and it just stacks on top of any other aid that an angler gets. And so here there's 3 buckets. There's merit, there's need, and then there's what we call service. And the fishing actually falls into this service bucket along with a couple other different opportunities we have here. So it all stacks on top of each other. It is a complete package deal. The average, our tuition is like $40,000. It's something crazy. But the average in-state student only paid like $5,500 last year. So it's there's a lot of financial aid available. But I think that myth of fishing scholarships, when you see the huge checks and stuff, a lot of times that's just that's smoke and mirrors. And if you do the math on it, pretty much all the small private schools, they all come out to be within $1,000 to $3,000 price wise of being equal. The one thing we do have versus a public school a lot of times is we do have full university support. We are underneath the athletic program. I'm sitting in my office right now, and so professors work with you really well. Our university gives us a ton of money every year to travel on and things like that. But, it's just important you do your research and look it all the way through. So, yeah, that's a good question. It's something else we could talk about for hours if we wanted.
Absolutely. So, Dalton, I assume like what I described with like maybe a Georgetown football package, would that be similar to a Campbellsville package?
Man, Hunter just did a great job at explaining that is exactly what happens here at Campbellsville. It's a package deal. There's no such thing as a full scholarship. I mean, it is cool to say I got a fishing scholarship, and It does help. It does lower that cost, but it's the exact same thing Hunter just talked about.
So, I again, my background's football guys, so bear with me. I see guys, and I did football recruiting as a high school coach for 10 years. That's actually how me and Austin got to know each other through Cash, who played football at UK. But when I see guys now, some of these universities are carrying 250 players on a football team. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those guys are never going to play anything but JV football, but they're going to take $80,000 out in debt to play college football so they can put it on social media. I think there has to be I'd be realistic. If I can go to a public institution and maybe not be on the college fishing team, or maybe I can, versus taking, $50,000 out in debt to fish. I think there has to be a balance there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it seems like, most of the schools that are on that have a scholarship program, are wanting to see the numbers just because obviously that helps the university and everything. And that's great. But I mean, that is kind of a tricky thing to talk about, though, what you just brought up.
Right.
But I can see both sides of it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So let me hop in and add something on that. So, that is everybody has a situation that works out best for them. And that's how I approach every recruiting process. We've got kids who, when they come here, they get very little aid, and it would end up being a ton of money. And that person would be smart to look at all of his options and see what financially makes the most sense for them. We have other kids that come to school here and actually get money back, and they don't pay $1 out of their pocket. And so for that kid, it's a whole different situation. And I like to think that, and I may be a little biased, I'm sure I am, but I like to think that at Carson Newman, they've got somebody as a coach in my mind that's going to go to bat for you and help you further whatever their goals are, whether it's working in the industry, fishing, just trying to learn the ropes. And so as a parent, you got to look at the value of that and whatever you think that may be, decide if it's worth it or not. So, I mean, sometimes it's not, and for some kids it is. And I think everybody just has to look at it from where they're at.
So, Hunter, like I could speak to that effect. Like my relationships that I had, I was a very average college football player, guys, but my relationships from that team and those guys that I got to meet, a lot of those guys are coaching at the highest level now. Those relationships were, I can't tell you how critical to helping guys like Cash and other guys find opportunities. So, a lot of you guys have spoken to that effect, the relationships that you build through college fishing and how beneficial that can be. But I wanted to kind of transition, Logan. I see the bass boats and I see the wraps on the Auburn bass boats and, all these things. So my question for you guys next is, there's a boat, there's a truck, there's somewhere for you guys to stay. There's gas money, there's tackle. Who pays for all that? I'll hit you with that one first, Logan.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say we're kind of got a unique situation compared to like guys like Hunter, Carson Newman, and Dalton. So we're not, like heavily supported by the school, unfortunately. And I think that's changing. And it's really changing pretty well, pretty fast. I think they're starting to realize the importance of us, and they're really getting behind us now, which is good. I'm excited to see what's going to happen the next couple of years. But like full disclosure, we don't get, hardly anything from Auburn University as far as funding. So, and I feel like this is honestly, it's bad, but it's also a good thing for our team because we work really hard for what we earn. We're 100% student run, so we don't have a coach, which, not throwing any shade, but we don't have anyone telling us what to do and what we can't do, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But I think it's a good thing because we elect our own leaders. We have a full staff of, we got a president, vice president, social media guy, a new member chair, secretary, treasurer. And so I feel like we put these people in these roles and they learn some really valuable real life experiences from these roles. We go out and we go to ICAST, we go out to the Classic, and we make our own connections with these companies, and we sit down and talk business. And if you're interested in pursuing a professional career, that's something that you got to learn. And it's a lot easier to learn that in college when you're selling your fishing team, and then to go out and apply it when you're selling yourself after college.
Man,
so I feel like it's really been a valuable experience for me being president. I've made a lot of really great connections with our Auburn team sponsors that have now come on as my personal sponsors as well as the team sponsors. And I feel like having that experience is not something that you can get everywhere. And I think it's really important for you to grow as a person and as an angler. So, like I said, to answer your question, we raise all the money ourselves. We pay for everyone's hotels, and we reimburse our top teams at each event. And so that's determined on how many boats we send. If we send 11 or under, we're reimbursing like 5 boats. And if we send 12 plus, we're going to try and reimburse 6. So unfortunately, we can't reimburse every single boat, but it's more of an incentive to go and do well versus, you're just getting your trip covered. So like Hunter said, it's not a one person fits all. It's kind of like, I'd really encourage high school guys to go out and meet with everybody, meet with multiple teams and coaches and look at the options, because tuition's expensive everywhere you go. It's not, they're not giving out full ride scholarships anywhere that I know of. So you need to sit down and crunch those numbers and talk with your parents and make your own decisions for yourselves. That'd be my advice.
And, like you said, Logan, I know, just me, like there are certain people, that you gravitate towards and certain people that you don't. So, you may go in and Hunter Sales may be the guy that you just click with, you know what I mean? And then you may go in and you may not click with somebody. So I couldn't agree more. Like just getting out and getting to know people, talk to people. Dalton, and talking about what you do, man, it's a little different, like on the kayak side, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of a kayak, does a guy have to show up with his own kayak? Is there any programs to help a guy get a kayak? How does that happen?
So right now, with it being so fresh, and we haven't really had an official season yet at Campbellsville, for our kayak bass fishing team, but we've dug out bait and tackle in Georgia. Jamie Koza, they work with Hobie, and we bought 2 kayaks off of them, 12-foot Hobies, and I also bought a 14-footer from a local guy here that was selling, and it is also a Hobie too. So we have 3 kayaks for the team right now. We have a 16-foot enclosed trailer that I plan on putting like a rack in there so we can stack kayaks and take more on the road and stuff and wrapping it and everything. And we also got a team truck this year, so to travel with. So that's the expenses in kayaking are a lot less. We don't have boat gas. We can pack 3 or 4 guys in a truck and hit the road. And bass fishing, it's, you can only pull 1 boat at a time. So it's a little bit different there. I'm excited to see how all that kind of plays out. And obviously, you know, our tournaments are going to cost a lot cheaper for sure. But it's going to be cool to see how that plays out and how different it is.
So on the entry fee side, Austin, you know, when you fish college events, I assume there's an entry fee. Who pays that entry fee? Is that on you or?
So it's like a minimal entry fee, and I don't know if it's changed anymore since I've been out, but I think you had to pay, like, let's say for Bassmaster, you had like your Bass membership, and Hunter is like what, $20 or $30 just for a registration fee, or is it more than that now?
So membership's 10 now, and entry fee's 50.
Okay, entry fee's 50 now. So I mean, what we would do, we pay that out of pocket at UK typically. But before I left, I implemented a thing in our constitution where you had to hit like a certain minimum on fundraising in order for you to get like any funds at all. Just that way, some people that weren't putting in the elbow grease wasn't, you know, picking from the cookie jar, so to speak. And yeah, I think they're now paying for your jersey and stuff on the team. But yeah, the entry fees for the tournaments is typically on you.
So Dalton, I got to know Jeff Hayford, who's Cade, who you fish with, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
I got to know Jeff a little bit, and Jeff was kind of telling me about being out on the road with you guys, the travel, the breakdowns, the not so pretty side of bass. Yeah. So if you could just shed a little light, and I just kind of want to hit all you guys with this. You know, everybody sees the picture holding the two fish up at the end of the tournament. Sometimes it's not so pretty in terms of the road it takes to get there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, man. It's crazy. You know, everybody that owns a boat or whatever travels with a boat knows how much stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
And Jeff actually, you know, he got to come to quite a few tournaments last year, which was cool. And Cade was a freshman and I was a senior. So Cade got exposed to a lot last year, I feel like. But we had a bunch of stuff go wrong. And I will say at Campbell's University, we were blessed with the coach, you know, Pete, who could probably fix anything. He was a guy who would work on anybody's boat. I mean, it could be, you know, Hunter's guys or Auburn's guys, you know, light poles, anything, man. And it's just stuff's going to go wrong, you know, and it's something you have to learn. And I'm sure with, you know, programs like Auburn and UK that don't have a coach or something like that, you know, that team atmosphere probably plays a little bit more, because if one guy can't go fishing, you know, and he can't, you know, he's going to have to look for somebody for help. So.
Right. So Hunter, roughest moment, something you had to grow through, you know, just one of those, I guess, traveling bass fisherman experiences.
Oh man, that's this is dangerous. I don't know if you've been able to tell or not, but I like to talk, and man, this could go on for hours right here if you guys aren't careful with me. But no, I'm trying to think of what sticks out in my head. I know that like Dalton said, Pete is mechanic of the year every year, unanimously on the college tour. And I've tried to pick up what I can learn as we go. I would say I'm more on the great value side of mechanics, but a ratchet strap and some duct tape, I can get quite a bit done. So, but probably the worst moment we were coming back from Dardanelle this fall, and rough tournament. You know, we're sitting 6th in the school of the year national rankings right now. If it wasn't for that tournament, you know, we'd have been a lot better. And so moods were bad. Morale was low. We stopped and stayed at this just, you know, roadside motel for like 4 hours, and we get up and we're hitting the road again, trying to finish out the drive to make it back for class. And that morning, you know, everybody's just focused on getting home, and I always follow behind everybody in case there's issues. I can see what's going on, you know. And so the boat in front of me, Lee Rose and Carter Koza, actually the son and daughter of Jamie Koza, who Dalton mentioned a little bit ago at Dugout. So their trim, all of a sudden you watch their transom saver break in half, and the entire motor, it was like the trim was just not even there. And so it hits the interstate. You know, they're probably running 70, 75. And in the blink of an eye, you know, before I can get my phone out to even call them, tell them, I mean, the whole prop, there's ears that are ground completely just square. And the whole skeg's gone. Sparks are flying everywhere, you know, and this is just one of those days. We've already had some flat tires on the trip, and that was one of those moments where I was like, we might should just drop the boat off here and leave it and, try again next year or something. But we ended up, the whole team got back there and picked it up. We actually ratchet strapped it from there around the power poles to hold it up until we could get somewhere to get a block of wood or something to use for a transom saver. So it was definitely rigged, but we made it back. That was probably the craziest moment. But there's been some ones I'm really proud of too. We had, this is a sport about integrity, and moments like that, I believe it, as everybody here has talked about it, it's what, helps you grow up as a man.
Yep.
And we've had guys self-report infractions when it comes to culling and things like that. And those are the moments that make a coach really proud. And, I think this sport is doing a really good job of turning college students into people that are ready for the real world. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, I think it all plays together for sure.
Man, I'll tell you what, if you come into fishing and you're not a humble guy, it'll make you a humble guy. Right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you could kill them one day and the next day you go out and it's like, I don't know what lake I'm on. I don't know where they went, what happened, but it's crazy in that way.
So, Jason, I have a story when it comes to stuff like this real quick. I'll tell it quick.
Got to hear it.
But my freshman year, Dustin Jones and I were fishing on Pickwick, and it was a bass qualifying event. And we were running down the main river channel, opening more of the tournament. We were on fish around Bear Creek area. So it's a decent run from Florence. And the wind was blowing opposite of the current, and everybody knows it creates that dead man's row or whatever you want to call it. And man, we lost the motor going about 55 miles an hour. Like it just broke off where it mounts onto the And luckily, by the grace of God, we stayed in the boat, but it did spin us in like a 360 pretty quick. And we took on about 2 foot of water in the bottom of the boat.
Man.
And it happened in the most, like, cause everybody knows that fishes Pickwick. That's a pretty lonesome ride. Like it's a pretty rivery, like there's not a whole lot of houses and resident places, but it happened right in front of a ramp. Like there's a little personal ramp on someone's backyard, and we went over there and Pete met us with the trailer, and the guy had a tractor, and we got to get the boat on the trailer, and we lifted the motor up on the back deck with, and it was one of them godly things. It's kind of crazy how everything happened, but how we were safe and how all this happened in front of this guy's house and stuff. And I hope that never happens again to us, because it was pretty crazy. And that's why I run the leash, baby.
I was going to ask, that was my next question was, do you believe in the leash? So you
oh man, kind of cool. My dad's best friend, one of his good friends growing up, Jared Swift, actually helped, create that, and was an owner at point in time. And right after that happened is kind of when the leash kind of started to take off. And I'll be honest, when I get in a boat that doesn't have one on it now, it's kind of back here in the back of my head.
So you probably just sold me one. I'm not gonna lie.
Man, it's crazy stuff. It's a once in a lifetime thing, but you never know what's gonna happen. So
because I'm like y'all, you're the same as me. There's nothing that gets you jacked up on Saturday morning. Like, sending that thing. There's nothing.
Yep. Yeah, and it was Dustin looked over at me and was like, "Are you good?" Because it was cold. It was springtime, and I was like, "Let's go." And he was driving that boat pretty good, and we were rolling, and it was pretty rough. And then about that time, you just be accelerating, in a blink of an eye.
It's crazy how quick it can change. So Logan, I got to hit you with it, man. Tell us about the not so pretty side of traveling and being a bass fisherman. What maybe a moment you struggled through?
Yeah, that's pretty sketchy, Dalton. I fished that tournament too, and that place was nasty. We ran to Yellow Creek that day, and it was bad.
Wow. The only person I know that made it past like Bear. I thought everybody was turning around.
No, yeah, we and that was like my first tournament in my new Phoenix too, and we got pretty much to Bear Creek, and this is probably my story too, honestly. We got pretty much to Bear Creek. My Lowrance on the front came off and was like dangling, so my partner ran up to grab it. Like, I set the boat down, he ran up to grab it. I would say there was some 3-footers out there. There were some pretty big waves, and he said he looks up and he's got the Lowrance in his arms, and there's just a massive wave. The next thing I know, he's in the floor of the boat, and it's like full of water, and I'm like looking for a bank to go stick it on. I thought I was about to sink my brand new boat that I just got. So that was pretty scary. But I would say another funny story too was this past week we fished the Major League Fishing event on the Harris chain, and we've got a guy on our team named Dirty Mike. And Dirty Mike's character. He's a good friend of mine, but we were, I would say, it was about 1 a.m. We were about an hour out of Leesburg, Florida, on the way down there from Auburn, and Dirty Mike's got a single axle trailer. His tire just completely headed out, like just gone. I don't know what happened, but he looked in the rearview mirror. There's sparks flying everywhere, and his whole entire trailer was like on its side, sliding down the road behind him on the interstate. So he pulled over and had to park it on the side of the road and look around in the dark for his wheel and tire. And we ended up getting him to the hotel and helping him get his trailer and his boat to a trailer shop. And he got his trailer fixed. He had 2 days of practice still. So, I mean, this was like Monday. The tournament was Friday. He fishes for 2 hours and blows his motor up.
Oh, man.
And so we ended up having a guy on the team that said, if you can come back to Auburn, you can come pick my boat up. So he drives to Auburn overnight, picks the boat up, gets to the gas station in the morning, finally gets back to the lake, has 1 day of practice, and the starter on the truck went out.
Oh,
Jeez.
So he puts the new starter in at the gas station and finally gets on the water, and he's able to fish the tournament. But I mean, you just got to be prepared for stuff like that, because it's just when you say there's no way it could get any worse, it can, and it will.
hey, listen. So I turned 40 last year, and I'm going to tell you where I'm at with bass fishing. When that kind of stuff happens, that means I'm going to catch fish. I'm just saying, the more bad stuff, if I go blow out a tire, it's about to be a good trip. That's just the way it goes for me. But, and speaking of traveling, you know, and I don't have the experience that you guys do, but I feel like if one of the things that most important in boat maintenance is putting those trailer tires, you know, they're not that expensive in terms of big picture, what we spend on this stuff, but I'm going to be that guy because I've had multiple flat tires. So I'm speaking from experience. I will make sure every 2 years I put new trailer tires on that boat. I can tell you that, because it's a pain in the tail to stop and have to change that on the side of the interstate.
Yeah.
Yes.
But talking about, you know, you guys as college fishermen, what would you say maybe one thing that you learned throughout the process in terms of being a better bass fisherman? You know, I give Dalton all the credit in the world. You know, I said this when we started the episode, you know, he fishes a lot. For me, that's the number one thing I would tell young people if you want to become a better bass fisherman is to fish a lot. But what else would you guys add to that? You know, maybe start with you, Austin. Just what's one thing that somebody who wants to become a better bass fisherman, what did college fishing teach you in that way?
Well, for me, you know, I didn't get to go on as much trips as, let's say, these other guys did and get that experience, but just to not be stubborn, because a lot of times you get found in this one way, or let's say like practice went one way and you start out tournament morning and nothing is going right, and you just have to make, I feel like, a complete 360 of tactics and stuff, and maybe spots you're hitting, you get out of rotation, depending on like if you're on a TVA river system or something like that. But yeah, just not being stubborn, and then at that point being able to make just quick intuition, instinct calls, and not debating it. I think that's one thing that it changed me in fishing. And like I said, I mean, I'm not a hammer like these guys. I mean, I might go up Fish Trap Lake and make some lunch money every now and then, but just the instinct that it taught me of to when to stop being stubborn and when to start being a little bit more flexible with how I approached different bodies of water and like throughout the time of the day, because, you know, I didn't have much experience growing up. My dad had a pontoon. He went crappie fishing. I taught myself literally everything I know on any type of thing with bass fishing. So that's kind of where it was for me. And that's kind of just the same.
So Hunter, start to finish college career, what would you say one thing that sticks out in terms of you becoming a better bass fisherman?
Yeah, and you guys took two pretty good ones there. Austin's is probably confidence and be fluid and fish the moment, all that all in one. And yours is time on the water. And And both of those are definitely critical to being, the best you can be as a bass angler. But I think that one thing that if I had to talk to a high schooler, that I would say, keep this in your mind as you grow and as you spend time on the water and as you try to develop this confidence. It's probably that they're just bass. It's as you travel around the country and you try to, we all watch the videos of how they're supposed to catch them on these places. Hold on one second. Something's going on. All right. I think I'm back with you now. But as we travel around and we try to, catch them how they're supposed to be caught, and we get overwhelmed by grass and we get overwhelmed by, whether it's current or whether it's big rock or whatever it is, it's still a bass, and that they only eat a very limited number of things. Once don't get crazy with colors, find a few simple things that work, and then realize, how bass feed and what type of things they like to set up on, as ambush points that they can feed on, and then don't get overwhelmed with everything else. I think to have that confidence, you got to make it a little bit more simple. And, a fish is going to sit behind a rock here on Cherokee, an ambush, a bait fish when it comes by, the same as they're going to sit on a clump of grass down in Florida. And so it's still the same isolated high percentage type areas you're looking for. So I guess it's just that, don't get too wide. Don't try to be the guy that does everything under the sun. Find what you're good at, find what works for you, and then double down on it. That's probably what I learned the most.
So Dalton, I know, time on the water has to be something you believe in, but what was one other thing that you would say start to finish you learned from being a college bass fisherman?
Yeah, man. My freshman year, I grew up in a boat, fishing out of a little aluminum boat. Didn't have any grass or anything, so there was a big learning curve for me. I felt freshman year, and I wanted to be stubborn, and I told myself I wanted to break down everything, and I didn't want to get any information from anybody or like really take anything. I kind of want to do everything on myself, and I got humbled pretty quickly. But my sophomore year, I think that's when things really started to turn around. Is more as working as a team and listening to my peers, excuse me, and really trying to learn from other people too. And like I said, like you see, I fish all the time by myself, and I try to put in that time. And that's my number one. But if I had to pick something else, I would say to not be stubborn and to not be afraid to, listen to other people and ask for help, man. I mean, I know that's a huge thing in college is fishing as a team. And that's what really taught me my sophomore year was to fish as a team and not really, in your head all the time. So
Logan, I put this one to you. You go out and you fish the big money event. What's maybe the key to keeping, I assume you drive out, and I'm just saying, I'm putting myself in your shoes for a minute, and you and your partner are fishing for $1 million. And it would be easy to get in your head and just completely blow that opportunity, right or wrong.
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
So what would you say is one key to kind of managing the moment and being able to execute, in that moment?
I guess experience on the water, I think helps a lot. Obviously I can't say I've ever fished for $1 million before, so I didn't really know what that would be like. But honestly, I never really thought about the prize. It was more of just focusing on the next day.
Right.
And then I mean, a lot of people talk about how good the competition is or what other people are doing. But the truth is that you're not competing against anyone else. You're competing against the fish. Everybody's competing against the fish. So it just kept our heads down and focused on that. And just, I don't know, we got really blessed, and the good Lord blessed us with some of the right bites the final day for sure. And it was pretty cool. I mean, it didn't really hit me until we got back to the weigh-in. That's when the nerves started kicking in.
I can't imagine. I just want to say, I've spent a lot of time. I feel like this is an episode, guys, we could rock for 3 hours. I mean, there's so much to talk about. It's such a loaded subject. But, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate y'all taking a few minutes on Sunday night to spend a little time, talk a little bass fishing. I think you guys have given a ton of insight in terms of, how to get started, how to get going, and, maybe some of the lessons that you learned along the way. So I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate you, real quick, in signing off, just run around the room real quick and remind everybody where they can find you on social media. Hunter.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jason, thanks for having us all on. I enjoyed it. Topic we could talk about for days. And if anybody out there has questions about college fishing, interested in Carson Newman University, I strongly believe in what we have going on here. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Hunter Sales Fishing. And then you can find our team at CN Anglers. You can also email me anytime. And that's jsales, SALES, at cn.edu. And I want to say one more thing, man. All these guys on the show, bunch of great representatives of college fishing. There's a lot of guys that are in this sport that do it for the right reasons and do it for the college anglers and for the kids. And I know all three of these guys have the sport's best intentions in their heart. And I don't say that about everybody. So I think that anywhere if you're looking into college, make sure you check these guys out and anybody else that you think, could be a good fit for you. But anyways, that's all. Thanks, Jason.
Absolutely. Austin, real quick, just on signing off, leave us with a final thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we were able to get everybody together and talk on here. I know there's a lot of kids in this Eastern Kentucky area and even in the state of Kentucky, I mean, that are just so interested in college fishing and wanting to get to the next level because, the reality is you're not going to go play men's basketball at Kentucky. And I know that gets drilled in kids' heads all the time, but man, what you could do on a college stage in fishing when you bring across, 20 plus pounds on stage and what that can do for you or winning an event and the momentum and stuff. And that it fills you as a person, the joy that it actually brought me, because I don't know who I would have been if I didn't do college fishing and what it brought. So, I mean, I really encourage everybody to highly consider it. High school sports, that's not your life. I mean, what's great, if you don't have any scholarships, nothing to go out there, blow an ACL, something like that. I mean, you could be putting time on the water, enjoying what you want to do. And I mean, go with that. Don't second guess it. Don't think, man, I could have whipped to D1 or pro. Just go with your gut, do what you love. And if you want to do fishing, just reach out to me, Jason, or any of the guys on this podcast. If you have any further questions, I mean, you can find me on Facebook, Austin Elswick, or on Instagram at Elswick24. And you can get up with the UK Bass Team at UFK Bass Team on social media, and then ufkbassteam@gmail.com on the email.
That's probably one of the things I do, Austin, and kids probably hate me for it, is keep it real. In terms of 99.999% of kids that play athletics, that ends at 22. You can fish for the rest of your life. So, exactly. I mean, it's harsh, but it's the reality, Dalton, if you don't care, hit us with one final thought and, how people can keep up with you.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you having me on. This is a great group of guys right here. I'm super excited about this. And, man, I love bass fishing. I love Campbellsville University. I'm so excited for this kayak bass fishing stuff. I know Hunter over there at Carson Newman is too. You can find me at D Smith Fishing on Instagram. If you want to go to Dale Hollow or learn how to tinker around with forward-facing sonar, hit me up.
Get this guy up.
And you can find us at CU Bass Fishing on Facebook and Instagram. And, man, signing off. Thanks, Jason.
Hey, Logan, real quick, just hit us with a final thought, man, how we can keep up with you this year.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for, inviting us all on. It's been a really good discussion, I think, with probably some of the top guys, in the college fishing game right now, as far as knowing what's going on with their schools and stuff. I think that everyone on here, they run great programs. And so my piece of advice, if I was talking to a high school angler, would be to go and see what's out there. Don't get your mind made up. It's a lot cheaper to go tour, 10 schools than it is to pay tuition for 4 years at a school you're not happy at. So I think, just get your head out there and experience a bunch of different schools and find what you like. And if you want to keep up with the Auburn University Bass Team or reach out to us about potentially coming, you can follow us on Auburn at Auburn University Bass Team on Instagram and just reach out to us by sending us a message. And you can keep up with me. My Instagram's at Logan_Parks_fishing. And thanks again for having us on. I feel like it's been a great discussion, and I really appreciate it.
Guys, I just put this out there. I'm a small time media creator, do a little bit of content creation on the side. If there's any time that, we cross paths and I can help you all in any way, please hit me up. I've been into drones and all that stuff for 8 or 10 years. I formed a relationship with the founder of Yellow Tech. A lot of the Elite Series guys and all those guys are reaching out to me now about, how to edit, how to do this with GoPros and Yellow Techs and all that. So if I know me and Logan had talked about that a little bit in the past too, but if there's anything I can ever do in any way to help you in that capacity, please hit me up. And that goes for anybody watching this podcast as well. I love to see people catch fish. I love to see, people just find a positive in their life. It seems like a lot of the world's negative, and it's easy to focus on that negative. If you choose to focus on the positive and get out and do things like bass fishing, it can lead to a total, I guess, different experience in life. And I hope we're blessed that we've all experienced that. But I just want to thank you guys for your time tonight. Thank you so much. We'll try to get this edited and up tomorrow. But thanks for spending some time with us tonight to talk college fishing, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Jason.